Welcome to Women in Leadership. I'm Lusi Banuve, your host, and our guest tonight is a very special young lady. She is Namrata Singh, the Executive Director of the Director Singh Group of companies. Namrata, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go on any further, for our viewers out there and even for us, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am originally from Lambasa. I was born in New Zealand, but brought up in Lambasa, so I'm very much local. And I completed my primary and secondary education in Lambasa at Shri Guru Nanak Primary and Secondary School. And then I went on to complete my tertiary education in New Zealand. I completed my accounting and law degrees there. And then I got admitted to the bar as a lawyer in New Zealand. And then I got admitted in Fiji. And then I went on and completed my master's in business administration from Washington State University. And then I did, while I was doing my master's, I did few stints here and there, worked for a law firm in Lambasa, and then I decided when I was ready to join my dad's business, which is the Director Singh Group of companies, as the executive director. And apart from that, I am married and I have 2 kids.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Namrata. You could say that you're someone who has, the world at your fingertips, with many opportunities. What brought you back to the company, like you said, your father's company?
Yes, so we obviously are rooted back in Fiji. Generally, the family businesses work in a similar manner. So as we grew up, we were told that you have to work in the business, and which is why I decided to pursue BCom LLB, because I was told by my father that those 2 degrees particularly help a lot in the business. But my real reason for coming back was the fact that I saw my father's and both my parents' hard work and their values and vision that they put into starting up the business. And I wanted to see the legacy continue, and I wanted to grow the business. And I could see that for me returning to Fiji would bring that fresh ideas in the business to make it grow. So I've been in the business for about 15 years now as an executive director, and and I'm enjoying every day.
Okay. Namrata, many young women, many women out there will be looking at you, watching this show, and just watching you in this role. Is it hard being a leader of this, this massive company, being its leader? And if you could just talk about the challenges you face or some things that help you in this journey as the executive director.
Initially, when I joined, I found myself to be a very young woman surrounded by older males who obviously were very experienced. So for me personally, the challenge was, I guess, to put my ideas but not come across as authoritative at the same time. So that particularly was a challenge initially. However, I've managed, and I think what I've also found is now we have employees or our team members, I would say, who are generally my age or younger than me. So things have changed, and I connect easily to them, so I feel like obviously things have changed, and it's obviously getting better in that sense. However, as a woman and the challenges I face, coming back to that, the one thing I've noticed, obviously motherhood brings a lot of a lot of other roles into your life, so that particularly has made me realize, how actually, probably I didn't even realize, and before I became a mother, how much of a juggle it was. Yes. And the fact that I'm based in Hamilton, in New Zealand, so working remotely, so all those sort of aspects does sort of come into play, and the real challenge is not necessarily, the actual work itself, trying to juggle is one thing, but the other is continuously proving to people that, my team members for that matter as well, that I am able to perform while I'm away as well, or while I'm trying to, be a mother as well. So that sort of it is a struggle because unless I think you go through it yourself, you don't realize. The other aspect is not just in terms of with my team members, but also outside. I would say the other issue becomes being a woman and trying to do professional networking. There is this culture where a lot of discussions happen in a casual, informal setting, more so, and to be invited as a woman in between a few males is probably ignored, and they would probably do it among themselves, and a lot of deals and a lot of discussions, important discussions, probably happen at that time, but you miss out, right, on it.
Right.
So that's something I felt I miss out on. Yeah, but otherwise, a lot of support from everyone, and these days I think a lot of my husband, for example, is very understanding. So the support is there. My colleagues here who work with me, they also there's no difference if a woman or male holds the role. We treat the role as the tasks as who is supposed to do it, as opposed to the gender, of the person. So yeah, those things are completely changing. Yeah.
Okay. Namrata, you come from a background, a legacy of successful business people, not only in Lambasa but in Fiji and around the Pacific. We'll talk more about this when we come back for the break. But I want you to think around how much of an impact your own father has been on your journey here. Not only is he a minister, but he's also a very well established businessman. But we'll do that when we come back from the break. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we will join Namrata Singh, the Executive Director of the Director Singh Group of Companies. Welcome back to Women in Leadership. Our guest tonight is Namrata Singh, the Executive Director of the Director Singh Group of Companies. Namrata, before we went to the break, we were talking about the legacy that you now carry forth. My question was around, the influence that your own parents have had on your life till now. Take into account the long legacy that's set by your grandparents to your parents, mom being a doctor, a general practitioner, and now you are here at this time in your life leading this company.
Yes, so in terms of the background information that I can give you, my grandfather, who Mr. Gurbachan Singh, was the founder of the school, in fact, that I attended in Lambasa. So, and the school is currently being run by my father. So they were very strict from the start that we were attending Shri Guru Nanak Khalsa primary and secondary schools. We could have been sent to any other school if we wanted to, but we particularly were told that we would be attending this school. The school was merely set up to basically for students who could not afford school, right? So you can imagine we were how it was sort of a humble start for us, But apart from the fact that the education was, from a very humble beginning. The other aspect of it was my father's advice to me that we need to work with our employees not as employees. No, we need to work with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the advice that he gave, and even now. If I'm stuck with anything, I'm so fortunate that he's still around to give me that advice. And my mum obviously is always in the background. I can't thank her enough, in fact, because in terms of the support she has given me since I have had my children. I have a 9-month-old and I have a 2.5-year-old. And you can imagine, you know, it's crazy when you get home, and even in the mornings, you know, and she's been a great support. So in that sense, she's always been very encouraging. In fact, she's probably more of the reason why I've joined the business. You know, and her advice on how I could give back with whatever they have created. You know, like I can see their contribution to the country through the business, which I feel I can do enough more folds if you know, if you continue to grow like this. So that's my whole reason, you know, for joining them.
You talked about you know, having children of your own. You know, as the years go, and as a mother now, you know, what are some things that you want to leave behind for your children? I mean, they'll obviously inherit a lot. But if there were some qualities that you would like to leave with your children, to carry them on in their own individual lives, what would it be?
Firstly, I think if you have a happy home, everything else, you know, falls into place. So I would say, firstly, they need to be educated. I mean, there's no two ways about that. There was no option given to us, and I'm sure, I mean, I would like the same for them. And apart from academic achievements, I would obviously, I mean, if they're interested in any other extracurricular, I would like them to be part of that as well. But also, if they do want, there's no force that they need to join the business as such, but it is always parents' hope that they are able to, you know. So if I would encourage them, and if they do decide to join, they must do it with integrity and with the same commitment that I have. You know, that you are here to, you mean business. You know, it's not, you're not here to play, you know, like joke around or play around, right? You're here to grow the business, and that's all I can expect from them. But if they have other aspirations, I will support them as well. It's not about you know, me in this situation. It's about them.
And you know, with all this that you look after, with you know, young children at home, and the business that you look after, and the staff that you know, you mentor and you also manage, how do you rejuvenate? How do you know, get your energy back? What do you do to, you know, to make sure you have ample strength, you know, holistic strength?
No, I understand. It has obviously changed over the period. If you ask me 10 years back, tennis was my favorite way to rejuvenate, but I haven't been able to get back to the tennis court in a while. I live right across it, yet I haven't been able to. But what I do these days, whatever time I get, 30 to 40 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week, I would go on the treadmill. While running or jogging, I will watch Netflix. So if, you know, because you only can watch Netflix, your kids won't let you. They would want to be on their YouTube and cartoon on the TV. So that's the only way. But apart from that, I do enjoy Zumba. So it's either treadmill or Zumba. And I love cooking and baking, so I would, and it gives me more satisfaction when I'm able to do it for my family. So yeah, I do take out time to do that, even though I'm really tired you know, in the evenings. But I do my own cooking, and apart from that, I mean, as much as you want to separate the two, you can't. So what I do is I enjoy with my kids. I enjoy taking them to the playground. I enjoy taking them to the shopping mall and doing some shopping. You know? So those are the ways. I mean, that's the only way these days for me to de-stress. Exactly.
You know, you mentioned your husband earlier. You acknowledged him for being so understanding. You know, what does he do, and how does he fit into the whole? Is he part of the business?
So he's originally from Lambasa as well. I didn't know him in Lambasa. I only met him in New Zealand, so which was interesting. But he is by profession a doctor as well. but he's specializing in radiology.
Okay.
So and he's at the Waikato Hospital doing
Okay.
that. How does he fit into all this? He does enjoy business, but he does his own,
Yes.
whichever he has.
Yes.
Whatever he can. But in terms of our business, he does give me a lot of advice when I need it, and particularly gives me the time. I do spend a lot of time in Fiji with the kids, so he understands that. And the best part about it is he actually comes and drops me to Fiji, because I can't manage 2 kids under 3 on a flight all by myself. So in Easter weekend, he just dropped me, and he just went back, so I could spend a few weeks here. Yeah.
I think you found a gem in your husband.
Oh yes, I agree.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we will continue our discussions with Namrata Singh, the Executive Director of the Charanjit Singh Group of Welcome back to Women in Leadership. Tonight we continue our discussions with Namrata Singh, the Executive Director of the Charanjit Singh Group of Companies. Namrata, before we went to the break, we were talking about the influence and the encouragement, the support that you've received from your family in this role. Now, in this role, you're the Executive Director of the Charanjit Singh Group of Companies. This seems like a huge role. It's like a blanket role. But if you could just break down for us the various companies that come under this, that are included in the group of companies, and what all it involves.
If I start going on, it can take all night. But I will just give you a brief, thing about what we do. So, firstly, just in summary, we have about, I think, approximately 10 or so companies, and approximately 600 staff, in those companies. And basically, if I start telling you the diverse business we do, we are into supermarkets. Our supermarket in Lambasa is the first supermarket that we started off with. And then we have got one in Nakasi that we've recently opened. Yes. There's another one in Nambua and one in Lotoka. Apart from the supermarket business, we are also into hotels. So we have Great Eastern Hotel in Lambasa, and we've got Friendly North Inn, which is a motel in Lambasa, and then we've got Lotoka Hotel, which is in Lotoka. And we've also got commercial properties as well. So most of our supermarkets, all of our supermarkets are in a complex, and that complex is owned by us. Okay. So we have if I start counting, we have approximately 150 tenants in the entire group that we look after as well. So we have a separate property and legal department that looks after that as well. Apart from that, we have a manufacturing business as well. We recycle toilet paper, and make we recycle waste paper and we make toilet paper. So that's another venture that we've done. So obviously there's a lot that we do, and where my role comes into play is basically I was appointed as the executive director to oversee the roles of the different departments. And what I find myself doing on a daily basis is selecting the right people for the right role. Okay. When I joined, I had to put a structure in the company, and then we added sort of more people in the team. We set up a proper, the finance department was there, but we set up a proper HR, a marketing department, the operations itself, we put a lot of structure to it. And then what I decided to do was to evaluate their performance personally, and then mentor them and to get them up to par, to what our expectation is. So that's one aspect of my job. The other thing I do is a performance or evaluation of the companies itself. So that I do on a regular basis. That's my role. And I then go back to the team and tell them how they can improve and, where basically we are going wrong, if we are. And there's obviously a lot of other things. I mean, if I go into the details, and I do like to get into the dirty bits if I have to, you know, to get it done. But I mean, yeah, that's basically what CJS Group is.
Are you looking to expand?
We actually, I forgot to mention, we just recently acquired a supermarket in Niue.
Niue?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Which was an existing supermarket. That's the only supermarket there, in fact. And so that's our first regional expansion. And expansion, I guess, wherever there's opportunity. We also have we are into residential apartments as well. So right now we're in the process of developing another one, which is going to be right across the US University of the South Pacific, executive apartments. Right. So that's going to be a 12-story building. So expansion plans are there. Wherever there's opportunity, we do, and as you can see, the diverse range of business that we have, it all depends on what's there. Yeah.
Okay. You know, Namrata, you have a lot of women that will be, you know, looking up to you and wondering how you're all doing it, and you know, maybe if you could just encourage, a word of encouragement to those who are wondering how you do it. And sometimes some women limit themselves. They don't know if they can do it. If you had to impart something to our viewers, to young women and women in general, what would it be?
That you don't need any empowerment. It's all there in you. You know, all you need to do is to believe in yourself and to take that step. If you have the opportunity and if you believe in yourself, give it a shot. You know, at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen, right? But also, if I would suggest from your end, don't leave any stones unturned. You know, I particularly don't like the idea of women not giving their 100% and then complaining, you know, about it. So I suggest, I mean, I'll just put it in, I mean, it might be controversial if I say this, but when I was in legal practice, there was a lot of times when people used to say there's not many female judges or magistrates in the, you know, in the fraternity. But the feedback that when I was the Fiji Women Lawyers Vice President myself, the feedback that I got from the Chief Justice when we spoke to him at that point was that there's not any applications. So whom do we appoint, right? That's right. So the idea is, please, if you see the opportunity, go for it. You know, and then if you're rejected, that's another issue. But in terms of our business, if you're wanting to join CJS Group of companies, we are very much women focused. And for me personally, obviously, you know, we don't employ you because you're a woman, but we will give you the chance, you know, if you are of the right caliber. That's what I'm saying. And if I am on the, you know, interview table, I particularly would, you know, be a bit more inclined, you know, towards the female if they do fit the entire role. So please do apply to CJS. And why I'm also encouraging women to apply is because we need CJS Group. In fact, a lot of people, when it comes to, I mean, in this media, when we ask people who we are, they don't know us, right? So the whole idea is that we would like people to know who we are, right? And for me personally, doing this, agreeing to do this interview was one reason for that. You know, we want people to know who we are, and we want people to join us, you know, and women particularly.
Thank you so much for this lovely discussion, Namrata. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us on Women in Leadership. Don't forget to join us again next week on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. right here on MyTV.